And there's clearly been a rise in targeted Hindu phobia for many years, but it's been more prominently reported on in the media as of late. And being that this is now statistically verifiable, with the growing role of certain groups that exhibit a similar pan-Islamist groups, unfortunately majoritarily, that exhibit a similar pattern as to what, frankly, Jews experienced over the decades. So we're increasingly seeing that Hindus are now facing the same targeted attacks as Jews have been facing for decades. I'd love for the panel to kind of respond to this as well, if you could.
Yes, this is Gopal again. Yes, there are more and more growing targeted attacks. And you're right, we have seen that over the last 100 years happen with the anti-Semitism movement, which is on rise once again in the country. It's grown significantly in the last 12 months. So again, the question is, so what do we do? I think at the end of the day, we have to think about what our children and grandchildren will be. They will be Americans born and raised here. Their identity will be, again, whether it's one third, as Subrato is pointing out, in American, Indian, and Hindu, or whatever that mix would be. I think the important piece is from a political perspective, and that's the discussion today, is engagement at the grassroots level and up. And the reason why I say that is because when people become familiar with us, our ethos, and our caring for the country and the community, and the fact that we want it to be a more perfect union, and we want to get engaged and give of ourselves time, money, energy, and work, I think it has a much larger impact, and we cannot lose sight of that engagement at the lowest level. I cannot emphasize enough about engagement in the party level, in the party politics, and helping build the right policies, because we have a say. There's no reason why we should not be at the table and talk about what might be more a smarter approach to resolving a public policy issue. So I come back and I agree, but at the same time, my question always is, so what? What are we going to do about it? It's our responsibility. We cannot pass
That's a great point. That's a great point. If you're not at the table, you're most likely for dinner. On the menu, exactly. So
I'm just going to add to the question, to respond. I put a link for everyone to see. ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, did a report on the hate that's faced by Jewish lawmakers. And I used to think we need to have an organization that can do the same thing for those of us who are Hindu. We don't have one. And I know that various Hindu organizations, HF, Hindu Action, Khanna, we're all trying, but we really need to fund and professionalize this kind of work in a much larger capacity, because the players are even bigger now. And so I think that's one important aspect. And just from a personal experience, some of my Jewish legislators and I, and some of my Jewish friends and I, because of all the interfaith work that I did prior to joining the legislature, we see a lot of parallels. And one person who really speaks to those parallels is Nissim Rubin at the American Jewish Committee in Washington, D.C. He really has a really good understanding of the parallels as an Indian American, but as a Jew from India who immigrated to the United States to work for one of the largest nonpartisan organizations that advocates for the Jewish community. He really has had some great insight on the parallels of what we are facing as Hindu electeds and Hindu people to what anti-Semitism is out there. And I'll give a hat tip to a Michigan lawmaker. She said, whether it's anti-Semitism on the right or anti-Semitism on the left, we need to acknowledge it and we need to stop it.
Absolutely. Same thing as Hindu Devesha on the left, to the right, we need to acknowledge it and stop it.